when you're like bottom turn, and then before you get to the top of the wave, twist your body, and then you look right to the white water way before you get to the top of the wave. As soon as you start to turn the whole body and your neck and start looking towards the white water, it's almost like the board is going to do it for you. You just keep holding the rail and then go all the way to the end. Leandro is this coach that he's always trying to keep improving, even for heats too. He came up to Iago one day and I was like looking, and they were both like doing the pipe masters, and then he was like, Iago, he had a left and then he couldn't make it. He didn't make the barrel because he was too deep, but he kept his stance really nice. Like, you know, Iago has like this beautiful style, and he kept just his stance perfect and everything. What Gabriel would do there. And then Iago just opened his stance and pretend he's Gabriel. And then he's like, exactly, like if you're in a heat and then you need to make the barrel, like open your stance and make sure you're strong and you're gonna, you know, so even if it doesn't look that well, like he works on of course, whatever it looks better is the main goal. But then if you have to get ugly to make sure you land the air, or make the barrel, or just make the heat, then you're doing it, you know, like you got to be able to adapt. And then, so he's always looking for these small details, and he's telling Brisa and Lakey, you know, all those stuff that usually coaches usually, they just do that if you're a kid, but he keeps doing that to us, you know, which is awesome. And that's why I like to work with him, because he's a nerd.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
great.
also a nerd. I'm also like wants to always look good look good surfing, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, it is interesting because I interviewed Philippe Malveau, and he's a Hurley team manager, but he used to work with Julian Wilson, and, you know, Kanoa Igarashi went through, you know, this big reboot, couple, you know, I think over the past year or so. And he actually worked with Philippe, on, just like working on his carve, and they just spent like 5 a.m. to like all day and just like carve after carve and just tweaking little tiny things with the technique of his carve, because he wanted to do a carve like John as well, you know, and Ethan. So it is interesting that at that top level, even though you said, yeah, a lot of times you're only getting technical when you're younger, but, you know, even at the elite level, the CT level, those guys are still trying to work on their technique, right? And
Oh,
you're
for
talking about
sure.
Jack
You
Noel as
have
well.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
You have
So,
to these days. If you wanna win, like you gotta be able to do everything, you know, because the conditions change all the time. And then I remember like the guys that don't know, like let's say it's me against one guy that you don't know how to do a backside air reverse, and we both natural footers, and the waves are like terrible to go right, but there's a left with a ramp and the wind is good for the ramp. If I know how to do it backside air and that guy don't, like it's a huge advantage for me.
right.
You know, like it's like, and then as soon as I put the jersey on and I know and I see the conditions, I get the confidence that I know that I'm gonna, just being honest, you know, like
Right.
I go to the Ocean Palace and be like, oh, like this is good for me. Like
Yeah.
all I need is just the good ramp that I know he's not gonna do it, you know.
Right.
So you need to be able to do everything these days. So if you don't want to learn, there's the thing too. There's surfers that they get to a certain level, they're really, really good. They're so good, but they want to stick to what they're good at. They just want to keep doing what they do, and they don't want to improve the other parts of their surfing. Like me, like I know that I need to get better at bigger waves and, you know, solid barrels, and I'm working on that. I know I gotta be humble about it and be like, all right, like I'm not as good as John, but I want to be as good as, you know, someone that can also do everything, get barrel at big waves and do airs and tiny waves. And, you know, that's what I want to do. I want to try and improve everything, you know.
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
why not?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the fun, right? You're building your superhero character to make him as
Yeah,
well-rounded as possible. And it's like,
yeah.
you know, like you were
No
saying,
weakness.
yeah, no weakness, right? Otherwise, you want to have the full arsenal of tools you want to have for every condition, right? But if you don't have that one tool, then you're showing up to a gunfight and you only have a knife. You're just not gonna. It's
Exactly.
gonna be trouble. Oh, that's interesting. Well, so was there any tip or advice that Leandro gave you when you're working on your carves that was helpful for you? Anything like that, or even your bottom turns or whatever you were working on? Anything that stands out to you?
Not in my mind right now, but I saw like just a few days, he's talking to Jack, and I saw Jack doing it right after. Like, he
Mm.
talked about it, like, you know, when you're like bottom turn, and then like before you get to the top of the wave, make all those guys, they do it a lot. Philippe is doing it. Sammy Popo is doing it a lot too, like kind of the same carve, which is like you kind of twist your body and then you look like right to the white water way before you get to the top of the wave. You're just like you're not even the top of the wave, but you're already looking to the
Hmm.
white water, and then you get that big rack, like big turn. And then I remember Leandro's just saying, like, just keep your hand following your body, you know, like this hand right here, because he used to like let his arm kind of fall,
Yeah.
or don't, like, you know, he just like keep your arms strong and then just follow whatever your body, because it's kind of like you're not really thinking about it. You do a movement before, but then you just like let it happen pretty much, you know, like so you bottom turn, and as soon as you like start to turn the whole body and your neck, and you start looking towards the white water, it's like it's almost like the board is gonna do it for you, you know, like you just keep holding the rail and then go all the way to the end. And yeah, and I saw Jack do it, and he posted a few days ago this big car. I was like, wow, like this is sick. Like it's sick to see like him, Leandro telling him what to do, and then Jack listening and doing it, you know,
Yeah.
because Jack is like, oh, I want to do it, I want to get better, you know, and this is awesome.
Right. Wow. That's such an interesting, that's such an interesting tip. I love that.
I think like when he told him that, he was like telling everyone in the room, you know. So I was like, all right,
Right.
I have to do that too,
Yeah.
you know. So he didn't tell me, but he told
Right.
Jack, and I was in the room. I was like, you know, we're all learning from him.
Do you struggle with your paddle power? Well, I can go months without surfing and roll to pumping waves and surf 3-hour sessions multiple times a day after day after day by using the Basis Paddle Trainer. It was a total game changer for me, and it can be for you too. These things actually work, unlike elastic resistance bands. You can train your paddling anytime, anywhere, so you can catch more waves and have more fun. Just 10 to 20 minutes a couple times a week, and you're gonna be in insane paddle shape, right? So remember, the key progression is more waves, and the key to more waves is more paddle power. Check it out at surfbasis.com. You're gonna be stoked.